I can promise you that it's coming. The sharks are coming. I can go to events in the US and people are talking about going to Brazil and selling in Brazil.
Yeah, they say that.
It's one of the things that if you think you're okay now, get prepared because these prices are going to continue to rise and rise and rise. I've heard a lot of guys say, well, I want to go sell in Latam, right? Because it's not as saturated. If you think that Brazil markets right now is saturated, that's a joke, right? Because the Brazilian market is not saturated. Us Americans are seeing a blue ocean when we look at it.
Fala pessoal, sejam bem-vindos aqui a mais um episódio do podcast Segredos da Escala, que é o podcast do YouTube. Se não conhece aqui o podcast, a gente traz pessoas toda semana que já escalam suas ofertas, já escalam seus negócios, para que tu que tá em casa possa pegar uma, duas, às vezes 3 dicas, se o podcast for bom, aplicar no teu negócio e escalar ele também. Se tu não me conhece, meu nome é João Campos, eu sou cofundador do YouTube e sou host do podcast. E hoje, pessoal, a gente tem um convidado diferente aí, tá? Que é o Alex. Eu nem sei falar o sobrenome dele. Eu acho que é Gunoe, alguma coisa assim, tá? Não sei. Mas ele é gringo, pessoal. O cara é americano e ele veio lá de Idaho, lá dos Estados Unidos, tá? Pra gravar o podcast aqui com a gente. E eu trouxe ele, tá? Porque, não sei se tu sabe, mas tá todo mundo do marketing direto aqui do Brasil começando a ir pros Estados Unidos pra rodar as ofertas lá. Porque lá, cara, o ticket médio é muito maior, as coisas escalam muito mais. Tem gente faturando 8 dígitos por mês, tá? Rodando tráfego lá. E o Alex, ele trabalha com produção de nutracêuticos lá nos Estados Unidos. Então, se tu quer produzir teu nutracêutico, ele é um bom contato aí pra tu ter, pra tu conseguir entrar no mercado americano, conseguir desbravar aí esse novo país aí e ganhar o teu dinheirinho lá também. Teve um porém aí, tá? Que esse podcast aqui ele foi em inglês. O Alex, ele até fala espanhol, a gente conseguiria trocar uma ideia aqui em português talvez, mas achei melhor fazer em inglês mesmo. Então, pessoal, eu vou te dar uma prévia aqui, tá? Do que a gente falou. Então, por exemplo, qual que é o esporte que as pessoas mais bem-sucedidas do mundo praticam e como que tu pode usar esse mesmo esporte aí para ter mais foco, ter uma qualidade de vida melhor. Qual que é a estratégia de networking que o Alex usa para conseguir fazer vários contatos no mundo todo de maneira super natural e criar boas relações que podem gerar muitos frutos para ele no longo prazo? Por que o mercado brasileiro é um oceano azul e como fazer para se proteger dos americanos que estão querendo anunciar aqui e roubar aí o teu cliente? Por que os maiores players aí do mercado americano sempre querem que o cliente gaste o mínimo possível na oferta de front-end? Qual o passo a passo para tu migrar para o mercado americano, inclusive os melhores produtos para tu vender, como trazer o dinheiro aqui para o Brasil sem perder muito dinheiro na conversão, né? Porque lá tu vai vender em dólar, vai querer sacar aqui em real. E claro, né, pessoal, muito mais que isso. Então, cara, se tu gosta aqui dos conteúdos, tá, do Segredos da Escala, por favor, se inscreve aqui no canal, compartilha isso aqui com alguém. E com vocês, o Alex. So, Alex, thank you so much for being here, man.
For sure, dude.
Yeah.
For sure. Excited to be here.
Yeah, you came all the way from Texas, right?
From Idaho. From Idaho through Texas to Sao Paulo to here.
Exactly.
25 hours.
25 hours. Pessoal, ele ficou 25 horas, tá? 25 hours he stayed on the plane just to talk to you guys.
Just to be here, dude.
Yeah.
Just to be here.
So you need to appreciate it, right? So thank you so much for being here. I hope you're enjoying your time here in Brazil. And we met the first time at the anti-remarketing event, right?
Yep. I think that was that last September?
Yeah, I don't know.
Last October.
Yeah, so I really like to meet the American people, American guys like you, because you can introduce me to American clients.
Yeah.
And I really like them because they pay in USD. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's better than Brazilian reais.
No, absolutely. That event was really cool for us. That was my first trip to Brazil. Crazy story, right? So I've been working a little bit with Brazilians for a long time, but never directly.
Yeah.
I bought the tickets to the event, super excited to come. And then 3 days before the event, I start having unbearable pain in my side.
Oh my God.
I try to fight it off. Finally, my wife forced me to go to the hospital. I then get sent to the hospital for an emergency appendix removal.
Holy shit, man.
So they took out my appendix and they said...
That in Brazil or in
the US? And they said, you cannot travel.
Yeah.
You cannot travel. But I said, dude, I've already paid for everything. I wanted to be here. I know that this is going to be a huge movement from Brazilians going to the US, and I want to be there at the beginning.
Gonna be the bridge.
And so I did it, dude. So I went. The whole time I was sitting in the chair, I was on painkillers.
Oh my
airplane
God,
dying. I couldn't pick my luggage. I couldn't pick it up. I had to ask women to bring my luggage down because I wasn't allowed to hold it.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was there, it hurt a ton. But I just kept talking like I was cool. But it was definitely worth it. But it was definitely unexpected.
Yeah, my girlfriend or wife, I don't know, she also had the same operation.
Okay.
It's actually something pretty serious, man.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of it, you may actually die from the appendix stuff.
Yeah.
And okay, so First of all, man, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is to learn about a little bit of your story when it comes to marketing. So how did you get to know marketing? Then later I want to get to the US stuff, so we can we can tell people how they can go to the US. But first, I would like to know about your experience with marketing. Then later a little bit of your experience with Digistore too, so we can get then some good content.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like that. Tease them at the beginning.
Yeah.
Have to stay till the end.
Yeah.
So marketing is sort of in my blood and DNA. My dad was in the Army for 21 years. He, for the last 11 years of his career, was a recruiter. So it is his job to convince people to join the Army. He listened to books on tape by Zig Ziglar and other really huge sales guys. And so I would have to be in the car with him listening. I got to see him sell. Also, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They call us Mormons. So,
you're a Mormon.
Yeah, so most of us at 19, we leave our house and we go serve a mission.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, right, a mission, you are knocking on doors to people who don't want to see you. You're telling them, don't have sex, don't drink, and you need to pay 10% of your income in tithing. There is no harder sale, right, than that. And so some people ask, how come members of our church are so good at selling? Is because we do it for 2 years. You just knock doors.
Yeah, you'll get the real-time experience.
In the US, there's all sorts of door-to-door sales companies, and tons of them do most of their recruiting out of Brigham Young University, which is a church-owned university, because they know these guys are used to knocking on doors, rejections. So that was sort of like in me. Then I became a school teacher. I became a PE teacher. And I had
PE? What is this?
Physical education.
Physical education.
Yeah, I was a wrestling coach, a football coach, and I had to convince kids that didn't want to work out that they should work out. And so there was more sales. Finally.
How was your best bench press?
My best bench press of all time was 317 pounds.
Holy shit, man.
Which
seriously,
I don't know how many kilos that is, but
that's
it's
around half.
3 of the big plates.
That's around half. If it's 370, you say, right?
Yeah, this is probably like 120, 130 kilos.
But that's 60 on each side.
Yeah,
that's so a lot, man.
my dad was a competitive powerlifter. Competed internationally.
Oh my God, that's
he held the state record. My dad was short, so he only got up to here, super short. I was tall as he was, like really round, but he had a big chest, and so when he would bench, it just looked like this, and he was done. And he set a lot of records, competed internationally. So
that's so cool.
That's how I connected. I connected with him through lifting weights, and that's why I became a school teacher, because I wanted to connect with kids. And I know like kids don't usually have like a great relationship with their math teacher.
Yeah.
They don't have a great relationship with their science teacher because they don't want to be there. But a PE teacher has a different type, right? A coach has a different type of relationship. So I got into that, and eventually I was listening to a lot of podcasts about business, about CrossFit. So I opened a CrossFit / mixed martial arts gym. We taught wrestling.
You also do MMA?
So at the time I only have one actual fight. That was my fight.
But like a real MMA fight and everything?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. In the cage. It was right before COVID.
Oh my God.
I got knocked out with 1 second left in the second round.
Holy shit.
It was a great experience. And then COVID hit. And so then.
Yeah, it must be amazing.
But
I did, I think maybe 6 months of Muay Thai.
Okay.
It was cool, but I never been knocked out, so I don't know how this works.
So there's probably 4 hours in my life that I don't remember. For me, fighting is, a lot of people from the outside think it looks chaotic, but for me, somebody who thinks too much and is always what's next here, what's happening there, fighting is a spot where I can zone in on just one thing.
Of course,
because there's like a fist coming at your face.
Instant reality feedback.
Yeah.
You need to be present. You need to be there to actually, fight. Otherwise, you'll get punched.
Exactly. So I think that it is an amazing ability to help you focus on one thing. And I know that like a lot of kids who have attention deficit disorder, the medicine they use is actually a stimulant, right? So they actually like overload your system a little bit with stimulation.
Yeah.
And then it helps them zone into one thing. And I think that's the same way fighting worked for me. And
the most powerful men in the world, they are all addicted to to fighting, either in actual fighting or just to see fights. Opa, desculpa interromper aqui o teu podcast, tá? Só queria te dar uma mensagem aqui super rápida. Cara, se tu tem um vídeo de vendas, então tu precisa hospedar esse vídeo aqui no VTurb. O VTurb é não só a melhor hospedagem de vídeo de vendas do Brasil, mas também do mundo inteiro. E ele vai, sem dúvida alguma, aumentar a tua conversão. Então tem um link, tá? Aqui embaixo nos comentários aqui. E aí tu pode ir ali, clicar ali e já criar tua conta do VTurb. Tu vai receber daí um treinamento pra tu fazer isso. E tu vai poder aumentar a conversão do teu vídeo de vendas ainda hoje, tá, pessoal? Então, cara, clica aqui embaixo, faça tua conta no VTurb e te espero lá. Valeu e bom podcast. Do you know the Lex Fridman podcast? Have you heard of it?
I know the Lex Fridman podcast.
There is one guy there that, he did a podcast with Dana White. You probably know him, right? So they were talking about that. And it's amazing how most of the world leaders, they are really, really into fighting.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that connects us with our human nature. And yeah, it's something really cool, really amazing.
I'm going to say something controversial to your audience. I hate all Brazilian UFC fighters. They are my least favorite.
Seriously, man. Would you tell this to their faces?
I would not say that. I would not say that to their face. But for me, I came from a wrestling background, so freestyle Greco background, and it's very much respect. You win, you shake hands. You shake hands before and after. And the first big Brazilian that I remember watching was Anderson Silva.
The Spider.
And his attitude, the way he would treat other guys was a big turnoff for me.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Brazilian fighters that are very flamboyant, that stylistically do that.
Yeah, they don't have much respect. But I think that some of them do, right? There is this fighter, I think his name is Lyoto Machida.
Okay.
Yeah, every time that he fights, he bows so that's cool. But there are a lot of them that they just don't care. I don't know if it's a strategy to make the other your adversary uncomfortable or piss him off. I don't know. But there's definitely that, yeah. But Anderson Silva is a legend here in Brazil.
He's a legend. He's a legend. Hopefully I never run into him. Hopefully he doesn't watch this podcast.
You're doing a Vitor podcast, man, so maybe he'll see it.
I just want to make this as clickbaity as possible, right? I want to boost our cred with the algorithm, so I feel like talking about him in a negative light might bring us up.
Yeah. But going back to your story, man, so you were a teacher, then you decided, okay, I'm going to open a CrossFit, a gym, and also MMA. And then you started doing that?
Yeah, so I opened it up, and I opened it up in a new city, right? So I was living in the state of Utah, and then I moved home to Idaho, where my family was from. So I had zero contacts to get people in the gym, so I had to run Facebook ads to start bringing people in. And I did it on my own for a long time.
That was the first thing that you did, the Facebook ads?
2016, before we even opened, I started running ads for come get a 2-week trial for free.
Yeah, and did it work?
It worked. I mean, we brought in people. It worked to get our first 100 people. We were super startup. So when we start up, we had a non-functioning bathroom.
Yeah.
So people would have to pee in the alley behind if they wanted to work out. There was days where our power got cut.
Oh my God.
And we would work out in darkness with like headlamps.
Seriously, man?
Yeah. So gym owners don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so we did that. I ended up building like the bathrooms myself. So they were super ugly and had extension cords and lamps. And it was just super ugly. But we started to grow, but I could never get past 100 ever. And I got to a point.
What do you mean by 100?
100 members, 100 students, right? After 1 year or after 2 years, I decided like, I can't do this forever. I need to either make money or I need to get out.
Yeah.
And I'd been seeing these ads for a company called Gym Launch, right? That's run by Alex Hormozy at the time. He's huge now, but he was running these ads and I didn't believe him because it seemed too good to be true until one day in one of his ads, he was running a testimonial. And in the testimonial was a gym owner from a gym that was like 20 minutes away from my gym. I knew that gym.
Mm.
And so all of a sudden I thought, wait a second. If this guy's saying, I wasn't friends with him or nothing, but I knew of him. And I said, if this guy's saying that, then it must be real. And so I signed up.
Here's the first lesson of the podcast, guys. Testimonials, ads, work. Here's the proof.
This is the biggest thing with what Alex teaches. You look for all the techniques and everything, but he just had a great product. It really did work. And that's the reason he was able to scale so well, because it truly did work. He wasn't scamming people. I went almost overnight from 100 members that I'd been in it for 2 years to 350 members.
Seriously, that's so cool.
Right? We almost doubled overnight. I went from having no money at all in the bank to I got a truck, right? A big old Ford F-150. And,
that's a big one.
It was a huge day for me that I'd been driving the same crappy car for forever. And I finally had enough money to do this. And Alex sort of started out teaching us just how to do the technical part of a Facebook ad, right? They would provide the winning creatives and we just had to put it in. We would have that go to a spreadsheet. At the time, he didn't even teach us to track our ad spend. We didn't track our ad spend. We didn't track our sales. Like we didn't track anything. We just ran and I was getting dollar leads. I literally went, turned the campaign on a Friday and I went to the mountains, no cell phone reception. Drove back on a Saturday midday and my phone just started blowing up with all the leads that we had come in.
That's so cool.
You would bring them in, you'd then have to sell them in person. And we would do is the ad said free weight loss challenge. But then really what you did is you said, it is free, but you have to give me $500. And if you win, I give it up to you all back. If you lose, I keep it. And I was pretty convincing. Average guy sells about 50%, right? It was an average gym owner, 40 to 50%. I was probably closer to more about 70% of the people that came in. And we started doing it. And it was crazy.
But what was the system exactly? So from what I understood, you saw a acquaintance or I don't know, some guy in your street that had a gym sale. Not on your street, but in your city.
Yeah.
And then you thought, okay, this guy's making some money. He's using the gym launch system. Then you decided to buy the system from Hormozy, right?
Yeah.
So how much did you pay for that?
So it was he set up as a licensing model. Mm-hmm. So it was a licensing model. Your first payment, I think, was like $700. And then every week after that was $500. And so he really believes in self-funding all of his advertising, right? So with his first sale, that $700 had to cover his ad cost. And so then after that, it's all money. And you can imagine his ability to scale.
But that's how Alex sold his gym launch, right?
Yeah.
And then the system that he gave you was a lead generation system, like some ads that you get people win with.
So he set up some videos that taught you how to create an ad campaign.
Yeah.
He showed you some videos on how to run your spreadsheet. And then he said, here's a folder with a bunch of winning creatives. So like what he would do is he would test in a couple of areas and the winners is what he would give to all of us. And so at the time, this first Friday or Saturday I came home, every lead was $1. I had like 30 leads for $1.
Yeah.
And I closed 70% of those. But then after a while, the problem got to be that as Gym Launch grew, all of us were using the exact same text.
Yeah, exactly.
The exact same video.
That was my question.
Yeah, and so it went almost overnight. I think so we did that for about 3 months. And then it was Christmas. And all of a sudden, my lead cost went from $1 to about $30.
Holy shit.
And I hadn't been tracking my sales. Like he didn't really harp on us about you needed to know what your spend is, need to know what your show rate is, make sure that you're making money. So I just saw my bank account start disappearing. And I wasn't ready for that. He then moved on to the next phase. So really what Alex did was he fixed a problem. And by fixing that problem, it created another problem. And so he would try to figure that problem out. And then once he figured it out, he would show it to us.
Yeah.
He tried to create at one point like his first go at sort of like a SaaS project. It didn't really work. We spent all this time setting up. So we were supposed to have this automations that were going to bring our leads in, and it didn't work, right? We all spent tons of hours doing it and it didn't work. And so it's really interesting that from the outside, everything looks like, whoa, he's super put together, but really he's just a business guy. And even at the highest of levels, you have a new problem constantly, and you just have to figure that out. And so he did that, and we ran those creatives for a long time. Then he started teaching us, okay, you need to make your own creatives. And he started teaching us now how to do the creatives and how to figure out. So we started doing videos. I remember we did a video with me in a dinosaur suit doing burpees, right? Just trying to convince people and silly things like that. We did pictures with us with like big giant foam weights, so it looked like we were lifting insane amounts of weight.
Yeah.
And we started trying to drive people in. Eventually, Gym Launch started focusing on bringing in supplements. And so they basically set up, they didn't tell us it was an affiliate system, but that's, now that I look back at it, I know more, we just became affiliates for his supplement company. And he really started pushing hard the supplement sales as a way to make money. And he was definitely more money-based and I was more mission-based. Our team had a hard time selling the supplements. And so we decided, because there was less focus on the creatives, which is what we wanted, and more focus on making money through supplements, we decided to part ways and start doing our own thing. We started doing a nutrition ebook that would bring you into our system. It was free. You downloaded it. That then went to an automated SMS campaign. That said,
and all this marketing stuff you learned from the Osmosis system, right?
Yes.
How to run the ads, how to do the lead generation with the ebook, everything.
Yeah. So he didn't do an ebook. That we picked up from other people, but we knew how to run ads. We knew how to do it. And so then we started doing the ebook to the SMS campaign to just get you in to actually talk to a coach. One of like the things that we did after that, like he did a lot teaching people as well how to run the rest of your business. Because what happened was people started filling up their gyms, but then they started giving a crap product and they didn't know how to sustain it. And so some of the things he taught was like the first time somebody comes to a workout, at the end of the workout, give them a free drink. And that person now is going to start getting all these free things from you and start feeling like I got free nutrition book, free drink, free workout. I probably should pay for something. And that guilt that comes from being a good human being said, okay, I'll give you at least 1 month as a member.
Yeah, got it. That's really interesting. And then what did you do then? Did you scale your gym? Did you start to quit? Or
So much of business is timing, right? And right as we started doing this ebook method and we started feeling like it was pretty good, this time we actually tracked our sales and our numbers. We started doing different front-end promos, first month free, 2 months for price of one, half off. And we started seeing what made us money. Then hit. And definitely
for business, for gyms, right? Must not be a good thing.
Yeah, it was really hard. And we made it through the first wave. We were shut down, but we made it through the first wave. Started to scale again. And then they started talking about the new variation of COVID and it dropped again.
Yeah.
By the time it hit Omicron, the third wave or whatever, I just said, I can't do a business that is constantly up and down, up and down, up and down. And so we decided to sell our gym and we sold our gym. During this period of COVID, I wasn't making any money. So to keep the gym alive, I had to get a job. A member of mine was working at a place called Digistore 24. And she had said something on Facebook about they were looking for account managers. I had no idea what it was.
So a client of yours was actually working at Digistore?
Yeah, she was at the time the director of business development. And so they were looking for some help. And I needed a job. So I interviewed and I lied so much on that interview. So they started asking, well, if you have this gym, why do you want to do this? And I said, well, it's because I'm just so bored. It's 100% self-automated. It does everything. All my employees handle everything, which was a lie because I handled everything. And so the plan was just work till the end of COVID, use that, and then quit. But what happened was I started doing it and I fell in love with it. I realized the lifestyle of being able to work remote. The pay was way better than a gym owner usually makes. The typical gym owner in the US makes about $32,000 a year, which is less than a minimum wage employee.
Oh my God.
I had employees that I was paying more than myself. I had an employee I was paying $45,000 a month, and I was probably bringing home during COVID like next to nothing. And so it's just hard to scale. Yeah. And so we started working at Digistore, and I started out when they interviewed me. They decided that they wanted me to run Facebook ads.
Seriously?
So they were opening. They just purchased something called Proud Mama's Kitchen.
What is this?
Proud Mama's Kitchen then transitioned to Digistore Select, which was an agency that supported very white hat products that wanted to get into the affiliate space.
They had an agency to actually run the white hat offers that were on Digistore.
Yeah. So if you had a product, you could bring it in. They could help you make the sales page. they would do your affiliate management for you and try to bring you in traffic. So really, you as like an e-com person could just focus on what you were doing, and then they could transition you to direct response. And so they hired me as a media buyer.
But only if you use Digistore, right?
Yeah, so you had to use Digistore with it, and Digistore got a much heftier percent than their usual processing fee. And so I started out there. I had never run like a national Facebook campaign. I'd only done like this small local thing. But once again, I needed money. So I was okay with saying, yeah, I can do that. But then quickly, Digistore decided to phase that project out. It just wasn't, it wasn't getting the ROI that other effort was.
It looks like a crazy project because I don't know, I mean, you need to do the sales for your client. That's a little bit crazy.
Yeah. So they tested it and decided it didn't work. And so actually I got fired. I got let go. Early in the morning, I got let go. And they instantly like shut all my stuff down and whatever. And so then I called the CEO, Francis Wolf, and I said, hey man, like I really like this. I'd only been working for a month. And I was like, I really like this. I want to stay with it. Do you have anything else? And they decided to bring me onto the biz dev team to start selling. Mm-hmm. I sort of rose through the ranks, and I believe it was within 3 or 4 months of being at Digistore, I went from being a media buyer to a junior account manager to the director of the business development team.
Oh my God. And what did you start out doing as an account manager? Like what were your responsibilities? Like what did you do in
what I was doing, right, was a very junior level role where I just sort of helped people get onboarded. It was really, I was doing, other people brought me leads that once they decided they wanted to come on Digistore, and I just sort of worked through the process with them. We had a whole tech team that did most of the work, but I was just good enough at talking that sometimes tech guys aren't the best customer service providers.
Of course.
So
most of the time,
yeah. So I had to translate that sort of conversation, and that's what I did. But then quickly I started taking initiative, and rather than like waiting for things, I would see a problem and I just did it. So like one of our first things was I was the only person on the sales team that actually like had ever done an offer. So I said, let me onboard an offer on Digistore secretly, and then see all of the pain points in the onboarding process and report back and tell people what are the actual problems with our onboarding. Because what we learned is we were trying to go for clients that were already on a ClickBank, right? More time there, they were doing well. We had to offer things like a frictionless onboarding to get them on. And so I offered that. I started jumping up and answering questions in like bigger communities and getting higher level marketers to start talking about Digistore with me. Yeah. And so then I quickly became the director of the biz dev team. And
why did you become the director? What did you do that was like impressive? That actually made you like go up the ranks?
I think the hardest thing about being a leader that most people don't want to do is making a decision. And so when most people are looking at it and they're fearful about making a wrong decision, they're wasting time. And I think a lot of business people say, make fast decisions, and then if it's the wrong decision, correct quickly. And so I, having been a business owner, had been for years making my own decisions. And so I was not fearful of saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We had a moment of transition where the director of business development at the time left. And rather than waiting around for somebody to come tell our team what to do, I organized a phone call with our team. I started telling people what to do. Yeah. And I made plenty of wrong decisions. But the fact was, at the time, I was the one that was willing to make a decision. And so I think that just sort of take charge. They started talking about it. I didn't have much experience in the more normal direct response digital world, affiliate world. Yeah. And they had a lot of questions about could I do it? And I felt like I could. And we talked it through, and then I did it. And so that lasted for, I think, 2 years or so, a year and a half, 2 years. That I was the director of biz dev. We scaled our team from, at the time that I took over, pretty small, to I think our sales team got up to like 19 people. 19? So it was pretty big.
Oh my God.
Sales team, account managers, stuff like that.
And you were managing all these guys? all these
Yeah.
people?
So while I was there, I had a head of sales over me.
Yeah.
And his job was a lot of like big picture vision and networking at the highest level. And then I was the one that had to sort of get the troops moving in the direction that.
But what did you change from like you just yourself doing the onboarding? Then after you became a director, did you get more relationships with clients or?
Yeah, the sad thing is that titles matter.
Yeah.
And so instantly when I had the title of director of biz dev, more doors open to me. People were willing to talk to me that weren't willing to talk to me before. Same way, my head of sales, if I had a hard time closing a deal, I could say, here, I want to introduce you to my head of sales. And he didn't do any of the work. He didn't do anything, but because he was the head of sales, he had more leverage, right?
Yeah.
And so he would go in, he would close the deal, and then he would put the work back on me. And that's what he's supposed to do, right? A lot of times that person at that high level is supposed to be a killer marketer, right? His name was Tony Moy, and he's probably the best networker that I've ever seen. That he was able to build relationships with people at a very high level people. Incredible job of that. And he did a lot of mentoring me as well, right? That was a lot of what he did. Was he didn't do the work of the day-to-day, but he helped mentor me so that I could do the lot. And I think that it's important to find mentors along the way that can do that.
What did you learn from him that you think it's important? Because if you mention that, probably he taught you some stuff useful, right?
Yeah. So if you were to talk to Tony, the biggest thing that he would say that he had to teach me was to stop talking about business. I picked up the business so quick and I was sort of in love with it.
Yeah.
So when I would go to networking events, I would just want to talk about like, tell me about your offer and like start geeking out over that sort of thing. And what he would always say is just spend all your time building a relationship. Don't talk any business at all. And then once you're back from the event, then you can message them about business. And that's something that I've tried to take to heart. So I think that like an example is my last event that I was here. Went to the Grow Mind event. And I hardly attended the event at all. I went to like lunches with people and just hung out. We went to like the little amusement park thing that is over there. And we didn't talk about business at all.
Yeah.
But afterwards, it was very easy to talk to business about people because we just hung out.
That makes sense, yeah. That's a really good networking tip that people should listen to. But sometimes it's hard because, I don't know, at least for me, if I'm going to pay to go to the US and then meet some American guys, then man, at least a little bit of business I have to talk to. Otherwise, maybe, I don't know, what if I don't get the chance, right, to talk about this? Or, I don't know. But if you actually build a very good relationship, then at the end of the day, they will like you more. So they will probably be more receptive to business stuff, right?
So absolutely. There was a recent event. There's a recent event in Mexico City that I went to. Almost everybody there at the event was very low level. It wasn't really a great show for us. But one of the speakers that was there is a huge name that a lot of people know, has thousands and thousands of students. And I had met him before at 2 other WebinarCon events in Austin.
Webinar what?
WebinarCon.
That's an event for webinars.
Yeah, it's a great event for webinars. WebinarCon. I think.
Who are the owners of this?
I think Anik Segal was an owner for the first 3.
Yeah.
I think he's not anymore. But yeah, it was a cool event that we were going to when I was at Digistore looking for webinar people.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
the whole thing is focused on webinars. And so you have a lot of the speakers are some people that have done $100 million in sales with one webinar. And so
the only people that I know that do webinars in high level, I mean, the authorities is Russell Brunson and Jason Fladlien.
Yeah. So
are there others that also have?
So there's a lot of other high level guys. Jason was Jason is one of the most popular speakers at that event, right? And so Jason, I know for a while, he actually licensed one of his products to 2 Brazilians.
Yeah, for a friend of mine,
brothers, right?
Max Peter. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
This
Peter
one.
Brothers. Yeah, so he was running that with them for a while.
The Peter Brothers. That's how you guys are known in the US.
Yeah, in the US, the Peter Brothers.
The Peter Brothers. That's interesting. Viu, Max? Tu é dos irmãos Peters aí, cara. That's interesting.
No, so there's other guys that go there that are low level quiet that you don't know about that are doing super, super well with webinars.
Yeah. We also have a webinar for Returb.
Okay.
We are using that method by Russell Brunson. It's called the linchpin method. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you have heard of it, but
got the book. I've got the
you got it.
The book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, so we are doing this. It's not working properly right now, but I'm studying a lot of webinars.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's a nice way to deliver a sales message.
Yeah, so that's a great event. One, for information and knowledge, but for 2, it's a huge networking event. So everybody there that they're willing to do JVs, right?
Yeah.
So they'll cross promote audiences, and so it's a great spot to go. Onik, I believe, has left, and now he's doing board of experts.
Yeah.
And I've heard that some webinar guys have told me that that's the best networking they've ever done, is at his board of experts event.
Board of experts, that's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Anik was that big in the US.
No, he's done really well. And so,
but you said that your mentor Tony, he taught you some networking tips. Then you went to this webinar.
Yeah. So at the webinar con, I had met the same person twice, and never really built a relationship or gotten any money. But just this year, a couple months ago, really, I think probably 4 or 5 months ago, there was this event in Mexico City, and he was one of the speakers. I know that he used to own a CrossFit gym. I used to own a CrossFit gym. He does digital marketing. I do digital marketing. We have a lot in common. He's married to his girlfriend's a Brazilian. I'm married to a Peruvian, right? So we're both with, our partners are not American. So there's just like so much conversation.
You're talking about that guy that, I think I know him, but I forgot.
Think about Robbie Blanchard?
Rob, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
he was in Floripa maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago or something.
Yep, he's building a house. He's building a house down here now.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
So he was at the event speaking, and so I just knew that he'd probably be at the gym at some point. So I like to work out, so I went and worked out and just happened to run into him. And so the first time that I started talking to him, I just said, "Hey man, what's up?" Just said, "Hey, what's up?" And I didn't try to talk about anything. And then I left, right? And I just went to the elliptical and started doing the elliptical. Well, it was time for him to do cardio, so he just came and went right next to me. So I was planning on doing a half hour, ended up doing an hour and just like talking the whole time.
Yeah.
And then throughout the show, right, because he doesn't speak Spanish and we're in Mexico City, I speak Spanish. I offered to here, let me help you go out to the town and see stuff or whatever. But the whole time we were there, I didn't ask him any questions. And I think one of the things is a big name like him, at WebinarCon, he was always mobbed by people who wanted to do stuff with him. And so I had this chance where I was here and I didn't talk any business with him at all. But because of that now, right, now I have his phone number. I need an introduction to somebody, reached out to him, he introduced me. Because I actually spent the time of trying to build a relationship with him rather than trying to do business with him, which is what everybody does.
But in your experience, since we're talking about that, we will go back to the digital story. I told you, right? That's how the podcast goes. But I think this topic is really interesting. So in your experience, does it happen to actually spend time building the relationship and then you go back to your home and at the end of the day, it was just like a shallow thing and you didn't actually build anything and you actually lost the opportunity? Does this happen, or usually it's better to just try to build a relationship and wait to get the benefits? Or how do you see that if you were to give someone a networking tip that they can apply in their next event?
Yeah. So when you go to a networking event, there's usually hundreds of people all wanting to do business.
Yeah.
And you have to differentiate yourself, right? If I come back from an event and I have 20 cards, I'll try to reach out with people, but I'm busy. Other people start sending me messages and maybe I'll send you one message, but I'll never get back to it.
Yeah.
But if you actually start building a relationship, they're way more likely to get back to you, right? They're way more likely to do something because now you stand out. Now you're not just card number 5. You're an actual person. And so like with the Robbie example, I've met him now. That was my 3rd time interacting with him. I'd met him at the first webinar con. I shared a car ride with him in the second webinar con. And then this 3rd event, I actually got to know him and hang out, have dinner, get to know each other and talk about stuff. By the end of the event, Robbie asked me about what I do and then said, hey, well, I have this idea. Maybe I'm thinking about doing this. And he brought that to me, right? We still haven't done any business together.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be a point in the future where we do.
Of course, yeah.
And a lot of time with networking, you're thinking about your financial need in the moment. And what you need to think about is long money. Money that might come in the back end. And so it may take 2 or 3 or 4 events before you actually get to that point where you have a great relationship. Obviously, you need to ROI an event. And so you need to find one deal. And that's typically how I do an event is I go to an event and I start networking until I find one deal and I say, this deal will pay for my trip.
Got it.
And then after that, I just start hanging out with people and talking and I just say, hey, everything else that comes is extra. I've done what I needed to. I've paid for the trip. Everything else, and it works a lot. And I think that
makes sense. Yeah.
The same things when I was doing webinar cons, I really did that too. Copy accelerators. When I went to that, it was the same idea. Let me talk to people and meet people, hang out. I'll meet one person that we'll talk about business, and we'll say yes, we'll do a deal, and then we'll just move on.
Yeah, that's a really nice tip. I like it. One thing that I also like too is. You just said to pay attention to the back end of your networking, and that's something really interesting because sometimes you meet people that they are just in the beginning of their career, but they are really smart, and you just know that soon they will be a superstar. Soon they will just like explode and make a lot of money, and then I think that's something that really helps is to find these people. Or at least give as much value as you can to people that are starting out because some of them will for sure increase in value. Just like stocks, you place your little bets there, you help a lot of people, and then some of them will just be a Tesla or something, and then they just skyrocket in value. One of these guys is actually your client, the Thiago Lucena guy. I think it's not good if we talk about what he's doing because he wants some privacy.
Yeah.
But Thiago, for example, he's really interested, man. He started maybe, I don't know, last year, I think, right? So he was a beginner. And then right now, he's one of the biggest guys that I know, if not the biggest when it comes to revenue, at least, because as we know, he's running traffic in the US. And that's crazy because right now he's a superstar. He's making a lot of money, but just 1 year ago, he was nobody. And then I was so glad that I helped him when he was beginning, when he was starting out. And today we have a good relationship, and he teaches me a lot. So that's something really cool. If you can get someone that's really smart, hungry, and just starting out, man, you should really help these people because they will probably skyrocket.
So before we started the cameras, you were talking a lot about San Francisco and Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And the way venture capitalists work is they'll invest in 100 people. Right? They'll invest in 100 people and they know that 99% of those people are going to lose their money.
Yeah.
But because the returns are so high, they know that if they get one person that skyrockets, it will more than pay for everybody they lose. And I think networking can sometimes be seen that way.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
You have no idea which relationship is going to be the winning relationship. You could think it was going to be this one, and it actually turns out to be this one. And so you have to just put the money in, do the work, and just hope that it turns out, and just put a lot of faith that if you're putting that out in the universe, eventually, one of these things are going to come back.
Of course, yeah.
It's hard to think about when you're a beginner and you need money now, right? When you need money now, you got to find a way to make money now. But as soon as you get that liberty, that freedom to be able to say, I can wait for a long-term ROI, you should start doing that in your networking too.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But one thing too that I think is interesting is that if you don't have a lot of money or if you don't have a lot to give to someone or to help someone, I think that the first thing you should do is actually get a little bit of experience under your belt, right? To actually do something, create a business, then after you can help someone, then you try to help. Because if you become something, if you are interested now, you will be interesting later, right? So, for example, Thiago, why did I help him? Because I just wanted to help him. I thought that he was a smart guy. And now he's huge, right? So he can help a lot of other people. And now he can make a lot of network. He's in a position to actually help. So he can grow his relationship. And I don't really remember how I met him when he was beginning, but well, I don't know. But anyway, if you don't have a lot of experience, it's hard to have a good network, right?
Yeah.
But to get this experience, you don't need to have all these connections. You can just do something and then have your little bit of experience and help some people. Then these people will help you. Then you grow a little bit more. And then you just keep doing that, and your relationship start to grow and more and more and more. It's like a network effect. The more people that you know, the more people that you help, more high-level people will know you, and then they will want to connect with you too.
If we take an example from like social media influencers, right? They all do those co-sponsored posts, right? Where it's a dancing video and this guy does dancing and she does dancing. And so then they do a video together.
They dance together.
Right?
Yeah.
And usually they all start out with people at their same tier that are smaller.
Yeah.
But then their audience grows and then they get to move up to the next tier of person and they get to move to the next tier, right? It's the same idea that they're trying to get views and you're just trying to get knowledge and information. And you do the same thing. You start out where you are. It doesn't matter if you're high, medium, or low, but you just start out giving what you can.
Yeah.
And eventually it adds up.
Of course, yeah. That's something really interesting that you said about the influencers. That's actually what we do here at Twitter. We started out as a small podcast, so we had no audience. All the audience that came here was from my own Instagram and also, most of that. So we just started out with some people that were not very well known. We just got them, and then their audience got to know Vitor. The little Vitor audience got to know them. So both of our audiences grew. Then we brought people more that had more people, and then we also had this is what I call the audience sharing situation. Mm-hmm. And then we just started to grow and grow and grow, and we're still doing that. So it's actually a very, very interesting strategy. Okay, so let's go back to your story. You became the director of BizDev at Digistore, right? So what were your main responsibilities at that time besides the relationship building?
Yeah, so a lot of what I did was leading the team, but I also spent a lot of time supporting high-end vendors. Yeah. And so because
what is actually how can we characterize? I don't know if that's the word in English, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong. But how do we define a high vendor? What are we talking about in numbers?
Yeah. So for a Digistore, like they have a Club 24. Yeah. I think ClickBank has ClickBank Platinum. That most of those mean at least $20,000 a month or more. I think Buy Goods also has their Legends.
$20,000
a month.
Then you're going to this club.
So then.
But this is quite low, isn't it?
So what that means is you're essentially at a level where you're decent enough that we're not going to have to hold your hand to do everything, right? Okay. And so for me, right, that wasn't the type of people that I was working directly with. I was working with more of the top offers. Yeah. And one of the cool things about Digistore, right, is while I was on that working with the platform, they were doing over 9 figures, right? So hundreds of millions per year, right, in gross sales.
Holy shit.
And when you're working for the platform, you get to see the back end of all these offers. We could pull information and say, what color, right? So I did this one time as I had the team go in and I said, I want to see the top 20 offers right now. I want to see what color is the buy button. And we saw 90% are using this color. Or stacking it when you're selling 1, 3, or 6. How are they stacking it? Is it 1, 3, 6? Does the page say 3, 1, 6? Like what order? Yeah. And we would take notes of this. And so then what I would do a lot of times is I would get on calls with the higher end vendors, the tops, And they would start to ask me what is working. And so I would be able to sit in calls with them and brainstorm, how do we fix your VSL? How do we fix your TSL? Because even the guys that are doing millions and millions a month, usually when they launch their offer initially, it's not doing millions, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They have the runway to sustain a large amount of split tests.
Yeah.
And so they test and test and test. And so I got to work with a lot of really big names. We got to work with people that were doing the best offer that I ever got to work with was an offer that did, 1, 2, 3. So it was doing 8 figures a month. So that's over 10 million a month, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't really close to 10 million how much they were doing. I can't say how much it was, but it was a lot of money. And get to see them. They went from doing like just a couple million to like doubling it in 3 months. It was pretty crazy.
That's crazy. But these guys, they like these top offers in the US, do they use mostly internal traffic teams or affiliates?
So this is where it's different. The biggest vendors in the US, most of them actually make their money with email marketing.
Seriously?
They don't make it with Facebook traffic. So that particular offer, a lot of offers.
Crazy, man.
That particular offer gave 85% of the sale to the affiliate. And so what they know is with an email, let's say, for example, they know for every email I get, I'll make $100 in sales, right? That's $100 at no cost because there was no ad spend.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're selling something, you might not make $100 profit, right? And that's just a number I'm throwing out. But they would know that the more money they gave to affiliates, both email affiliates, media buying affiliates, they knew that it would build their list and they would get more and more because they were, the affiliate space is very competitive. And so you have to give a high CPA or a high rev share.
High commission, yeah.
Yeah, and so they would give the most away, so everybody wants to go to them. And then they made, if you can imagine, right, what 8 figures in sales a month looks like in actual buyers when they're buying 180,
but
230.
How do these lists are actually created? Because that's so crazy. Like I heard that people do email traffic. I know that, of course, but from what I understand right now, like if I'm an affiliate, I need to create a lead gen campaign, right? Then build this list, and then after I just keep pumping email to this list, and that's my business.
No. So what most of these guys are doing is they're selling a front end product, right? It's a loss leader. So that means this front offer, they're not trying to make money on it.
Yeah.
So the initial product, just a regular campaign, and they sell it. A lot of them, if they're paying a CPA, they might actually be losing money. They might actually lose $10 for every sale because of how much they give the affiliate. But they know that for every email, they average this much value. And so then they throw them into email campaigns.
Okay. So they have the main offer, and then the affiliate will promote this offer, and then the vendor will lose money on this thing. Then on the back end, the vendor will just keep sending email.
Yeah, because you make the cool thing with like a Facebook sale is there's that the leads one time, right? But those emails, they can make money off of somebody over and over and over again. And it's very hard. It's harder than it sounds, right? But they know that with good campaigns, if you bought this offer, weight loss, they'll say, okay, this is your age, probably this is your pain points. What other products do you need? And so then they either sell products as affiliates themselves, they go find other offers, or if they send one offer to their list and it's like, dude, my list loves this diabetes offer, they can create their own diabetes offer.
Got it.
And just email it. And it might not be good enough for Facebook, but it could be enough that they're making money on the email.
Yeah, got it. But that's so crazy because there must be a huge list, right? If it makes that much money, or the lists are converting extremely well.
So in I don't know what everybody's numbers are different, but if just for like an example, just to like start thinking in your brain, I believe in one of Russell's books, he says $1 per email.
Oh my God.
Per send. So if he sends to 1 million people with one send, he makes $1 million.
Holy shit.
And then he sends that email tomorrow. He sends another email the next day. It's very hard. I work with a great company called List Monsters. They're actually working with a lot of our Brazilian clients right now.
List monsters. What
List
do they
monsters. And so what they do is they manage email lists, but they don't do it. It's not just like, here's my internal list and resell them my product. First, they create it's a whole system. It's very sophisticated. It takes you about 2 to 3 months before you actually start making money with them. But what they do is they provide a ton of value. Gmail has changed twice now this year on what they're allowing. And so it's become even more strict. So they do everything they need to make it validated. So it seems like it's a good sender. And then they start sending information, knowledge, sell. Information, knowledge, sell.
Yeah.
And so what these guys do is they'll sort of go into a partnership with you. And so they'll take your emails. You don't have to do any work. And they'll do the sell.
They'll nurture it and then keep selling.
Yeah, and you do it, and they do a rev share split on the deal. They're sending over 5 million emails a day.
Holy shit!
And so what you can also think about that is they have a huge testing sample.
Yeah.
And so what usually a lot of email guys will do is they'll send an email in the morning to a segment of the list. They'll send different emails, and they'll see which headline got the most opens. And so then they'll use that email that they send to the rest of their email list. And with 5 million, he can see what's working with which affiliate offers are the best right now, and then he can plug most people into that offer. And it's like great job. While I was at Digistore, he was managing one of our most successful, not our email list, but he was managing the list that was one of our most successful email affiliates.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of these managing deals for guys. And that's one of the big things that we try to do is we're trying to support Brazilians with the infrastructure to make back-end money so that you're not just having to survive, because right now everybody knows CPMs are very expensive right now, and it's getting harder and harder to make money. But what would it be like if you didn't have to make money on your front-end sale? If you could just break even.
That's the dream, yeah.
And make money on the back end on a list that you own.
Yeah, of course, yeah. In Brazil right now, people are still making money on the front end. So the best ones are getting around 30% of profits. So for every 100,000 that you make, you profit 30,000. So that's good margins. I don't know if that's good in the US, but in Brazil that's fine. That's nice. And I think that people still do that because they don't really know how to monetize the backend. Or even more importantly, I would say, is that it is not needed right now to actually do this. Because, I mean, not that people will not make more money. They would make way more money if they did. But they're just lazy because they sell on the front end and they think, okay, that's okay. That's nice. Yeah,
that's it. It's a personality thing. You're making so much money that you don't feel like you need to do this other thing. I can promise you that it's coming. The sharks are coming. So I can go to events in the US and people are talking about going to Brazil and selling in Brazil.
Yeah, they say that.
It's one of the things that if you think you're okay now, get prepared, because these prices are going to continue to rise and rise and rise. I've heard a lot of guys say, well, I want to go sell in Latam, right? Because it's not as saturated. If you think that Brazil markets right now is saturated, that's a joke, right? Because the Brazilian market is not saturated. Us Americans are seeing a blue ocean when we look at it. And so
yeah, people say that. That's so crazy, because people in Brazil, they say the exact opposite. They say, man, Brazil is so saturated. You know what is a blue ocean? The US, man.
Yeah. It's because the grass is always greener on the other side. Everywhere you go, it's going to be hard and you have to do work.
Yeah.
The internet guru that told us it was so easy to make money was just trying to sell us, right?
Yeah.
It's all going to take work. But one of the things that we also know is that different personality types go to different directions. Facebook has the type of guy that I think is a successful media buyer on Facebook oftentimes has a type of personality that doesn't lend itself to the work that it takes to do email.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's the reason sometimes instead of trying to do it yourself and say, I'll make more money doing it by yourself, hand it off to somebody who is a pro at doing this, and you keep doing what you're great at, right? And so maybe you're just great at driving Facebook clicks, right? You don't need to make a VSL. Go find an offer as an affiliate that already has a VSL and be okay with just being the guy that drives Facebook clicks, but be the best at it. If you're great at doing VSLs, do VSLs. And that's the reason like a lot of US businesses, they would make more money if they drove internal Facebook traffic.
Probably.
But they say our genius is in storytelling with great VSLs and logistics, right? We'll handle that and we'll let the affiliate make a good chunk of money and then we'll just spin up more offers, right? You can keep duplicating your strength. And email, I know in Brazil is not as common, but you got to figure it out.
We still do it. We still do it, but not as sophisticated as in the US. That's for sure.
Right now, newsletters. I don't know if you've been keeping up with how much newsletters are selling for.
No.
So right now, everybody's the big craze is now having your own newsletter, and they call it a newsletter, but really it's still just a daily email. It's all. There's just a different name.
But it's actually an email. It's not a physical newsletter.
Yeah,
because I know that Dan Kennedy has a physical one.
Yep. There's guys that are doing physical now because it's how do you distinguish yourself. But what they're doing, right, is they're doing a newsletter is just an email that provides value rather than taking value. And so you do that and they'll sell with a newsletter, you can sell advertising space. And so rather than you being the guy who actually does the sell, it's essentially just still being an affiliate.
Yeah.
You put their link at the top and like, we're talking about the subject, you might want to learn about this. But now bigger companies are buying up newsletters. The big companies like Coca-Cola, right? McDonald's, they're not great at driving specific traffic, right? They're really great at doing TV campaigns.
Yeah.
And so they're using these newsletters now to say, this is a particular market niche, this group, a sector we want to grow in. We're going to buy your newsletter, and they're paying large sums. So most internet gurus, like the big ones in the US, are doing newsletters now because they want to be able to sell their newsletter to one of these big companies.
So one example would be the one by Dan Kennedy, right? That physical one. I forgot the name of it. I think it's magnetic marketing or something like that.
Magnetic marketing.
Yeah. And you know other big ones? Do you recommend someone that I should join a newsletter?
So like one of the biggest ones is like the Daily Brew.
Daily Brew.
The Daily Brew is one of the biggest ones. There's the big one.
But the Daily Brew is actually a technology, right? Or startup newsletter or not?
It's a newsletter. So like most people, as far as
it's a news. Yeah, I saw on Twitter, now X, but I thought it was something about technology or something. Yeah. I don't know.
No, I know right now there's multiple platforms that are positioning themselves as newsletter platforms.
Like Substack,
yeah, they're specifically for that. But yeah, so they're doing that and they're selling. If you, being a student of Alex Hormozi, I like to see trends. And one of the things that what is he doing right now? He's creating roll-ups. So roll-ups are when you have multiple businesses. Usually when you sell your business, they use EBITDA, which is like a calculation that calculates your debt and your gross volume and all that stuff. And most businesses a lot of times will sell for like 2x, right? They'll sell for 3x. But if you roll it up with other businesses, it gets multiplied. So instead of 2, maybe they're going to pay you at 5x. And so it actually brings the value of each individual business up. And so that's what he's doing, is creating these roll-up businesses. And a lot of people in the US now are doing this. And I think a lot of marketers, it's as the market sophisticates, will do this. They go from being an affiliate to being a vendor. They have their own offer.
Yeah.
Then from being an offer to be like, that's just like one offer. Then they say, I want to create an actual brand, because offers aren't very sellable. Brands are.
Yeah.
Once they have one brand and they sell that brand, then they say, well, now I want to put 10 brands together and sell them to even bigger companies. Everybody's trying to get the venture capitalist money.
Yeah.
And so they want, what they look at for them a lot of time is just the gross volume of sales. They're looking at that number. They need it above a certain thing. And the only way you're going to do that is by chaining businesses together. And he does that. A lot of guys do that. People are doing that now with newsletters, where it's, let me create a bunch of different newsletters and then sell all of them as one big package.
That's really interesting. Really cool. Man, I want to talk about a little bit more of your time at Digistore. Then I think we'll go to what you do now, because I want to introduce people to the US market.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to know is what were the, I don't know if you can answer me that or if you actually know that, but at your time at Digistore, you met a lot of high profile guys running a lot of volume. And I don't know if there's something that you saw that's like common between all of them. Maybe there's secrets to scale lots of offers. I would like to maybe try to learn some lessons from these guys. So maybe our Brazilian audience can make more money, improve their sales too. Do you know something that they do that it's cool? It's something that people don't usually do, or if they have some sort of secret or something.
So I think one of the common things, right? There's a lot of different things that they do. For one part is they have a solid team around them.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about team. And do you have people that can make decisions and make choices and do things? They do a lot of split testing, but not always the obvious things. So some of the things we take for common knowledge about like bundles of 1, 3, or 6, right? But they'll test things to say, well, what if instead of selling a 1, 3, 6, we sell a 60 capsule bottle? So it's like 2 months worth all in one bottle. And what will that do to our AOV, right? If you remember that a vendor in the US is trying to make his money on the emails, he's not always worried about the front end offer. He's just trying to get the lead. And so he needs to get an affiliate, a certain AOV, we're gonna pay a certain CPA. And so like the biggest offer that I was able to ever work with on Digistore, one of the interesting things that they did on their front end VSL that I don't think anybody else did is they almost purposefully, they'd never said this to me, but I think they purposely were trying to get people to buy one bottle on the front end, on the very first offer, one bottle. Why? The reason that I believe it was so good is because their VSL was incredibly strong, and it probably could have sold a higher 3-bottle average or a 6-bottle average or whatever. But they did little things about how they placed the purchase choices, which one they made big. And if you buy one on the front end, it means you have more money to spend on the upsell, right? Whereas if you buy 6 bottles up front and then you go to the back end and like, you just spent $260. We want you to give us another $260. They won't do it. But if you spent $60 on the front end and you anchor in that price, right? That $60, just for example, that $59 is just anchored into like, this product is so amazing. And then it's worth $59. We got you to buy one bottle for $59. And then in the upsell, you offer a discount at a much discount rate for 12 bottles. You're now like, because of how good the front end VSL was, you're then saying, okay, $60, I have the money for this. But if they had bought on the front end the 6, they wouldn't have had the money to buy as much on the back end. And most people,
that's really interesting,
are too scared to try that test,
yeah,
I think. And so nobody else would do it. And every day I would have somebody come to me on a call and say, hey, I modeled my VSL after them. We're going to crush it. We're going to be the next one. And it never got high enough AOV. And I would tell people, I really think this is why. And nobody was ever brave enough to test it.
That's so interesting. I never thought of it.
I think that...
I think the Brazilians are brave. They just don't know.
Yeah.
They're more on the stupid side when it comes to knowing this kind of stuff. But now they're going to become smart now that they know.
There's a really great company called Barton Publishing out there.
I don't know it.
They do a lot of like blood sugar stuff, right? And it's a great product. That's one of the things, they actually provide a great product. They're not just trying to make money.
Yeah.
They provide a great product. But one of the best ways that they sell supplements is actually with just an ebook on the front end. And so you can do an ebook, and then after the ebook, right, it's a low AOV. So everybody's like, oh no, I need a higher AOV. Let me sell the supplement. But if you sell somebody a $27 ebook or $47, I don't know what they charge, but $27 ebook, $47 ebook, and then you say, with this purchase, we're going to give you a bonus coaching call where you can talk to one of our coaches to make sure you maximize your results. And the person's like, wow, I get a call with a coach. And so they jump on that call, and then the coach creates a customized bundle They may have a list of 6 to 10 supplements that they can sell. They'll speak to the person and then actually speak not just to like general pain points, but to that person's pain point. Oh, so you're trying to get ready for your daughter's wedding and it's in 3 months and you need to lose this weight. So they can really pull at the heartstrings of these people, and they can sell now 3 products for a 6-month bundle, which all of a sudden makes an AOV of $2,000, right? From an ebook on the front end. And so as you hit that, if you had sold somebody, here, I pushed you really hard and I got you to buy 6 months of this bottle, right? That's less money that you have to spend on your coaching call. There's more pain of, I already gave you a lot of money. I don't know if I should give you more money. The guard's up. Whereas if it's just like a little ebook to a coaching product, and that's another way that you can use a lower front end sale to generate more money on the back end. And there's phone teams that you can partner with that will do this sort of calling structure for you, right? They'll do the coaching call. They do it on a rev share basis. That's where you need to network with somebody like me to get an introduction because you don't know them.
Yeah,
but we can introduce them.
Man, let's talk about this since we started. So after your time at Digistore, from what I know, you decided to go on business for yourself, right? Yeah.
So me and Digistore, right? It was a super great experience. And we got to a point where they wanted to take the sales team one direction, whereas my strengths were in a different direction, right?
Yeah.
And so we sort of came to an agreement together that this is probably the best way, right? So we left on super good terms.
Yeah.
I do a lot of work with them right now. But we went this different direction. I was really passionate about Latin America. I wanted to be involved in it.
Yeah.
Whereas what we were doing at the time with Digistore, I wasn't able to really focus as much as I wanted to on it. And so then I left and we separated. Then in August of last year, I got this opportunity to work with the company that I'm working with now, with Eagle Labs. And they have given me the opportunity to work with all these Brazilians, all these Latin Americans.
Yeah.
So I've been able to dive full on into this like world that I love. I really appreciate it because when you're selling something, right, you want to have a unique selling proposition.
Of course.
You want to be the only one that can provide that.
Yeah.
And in Spanish, that's what I am. There's a lot of people in the U.S. that speak Spanish. The U.S. is the second largest country of Spanish speakers, right? Even bigger than Mexico. It goes Mexico, U.S., Colombia, Spain. And so there's a ton of guys. But most of those Spanish speakers in the U.S. are the children of Hispanic immigrants.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm one of the only like white guys that speak Spanish at my level that does this. And so when I go to an event in Latin America, it's, wow, look at this white guy. He's so white and he speaks really good Spanish. That's interesting. I want to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I get to come here and be the only one. It's changing in Brazil right now. Other people are coming, but for the last little while, to a bunch of the digital events I go to, I'm the only American that comes to these, right?
Yeah,
I'm working. Eu falo muito pouco português.
Mas ele fala, pessoal.
But I'm working on it, and I understand a lot more than when I started. But right now, when I come to these events, I'm the only one like me. And so I can provide this unique thing. And so that's really why I wanted to get into this. And at Eagle Labs right now, we're having we're getting amazing results from Brazil.
And what do you do exactly, man? At Eagle Labs.
Okay. So Eagle Labs does everything, right? And if we don't do it, we connect you to a partner that does. We sort of help with those relationships.
Yeah.
So Eagle Labs specifically manufacture supplements and Nutra products. We can create capsules, pills, chewable tablets, liquids, creams like lotions or stuff for your skin, gummies. We can make anything. We have a large number of white label. We have 47 white label products that you could choose from, or you can do a custom product with us. Once we've made the supplement for you, right? We have a sister company, Full Stack Fulfillment, that can actually do the drop shipping for you, the warehousing, the drop shipping. And because we do this together, we can actually cut your costs down a lot. So a lot of drop shippers have to buy the white label product from somebody else. Whereas with us, you're getting it direct. It's one less mouth to feed.
Yeah.
So most times when somebody tells me, hey, I'm selling this product here, I'm able to sell the product for, $1 cheaper, or I'm able to do your fulfillment and your postage will be cheaper. That's a huge thing. And when you're trying to pick who you work with, they may tell you I have a lower bottle price, but they may charge you higher over here. And so you need to look at it as a entirety to make your decision. And so we do that. We're able to work with our partners to fulfill your abandoned cart phone calls, customer service calls. We are connected to the biggest payment processors, and we're also connected to many boutique payment processors. And there's some reasons.
Boutique, what is this?
Boutique is like small. So like a boutique is a small store.
Okay.
And sometimes you don't want to be on the biggest platform for different reasons. And so we can sort of do an assessment of your needs and put you with the perfect payment processor.
What are these boutiques? Can you name some of them?
Yeah. So like one of the guys that we work with, there's a guy, MF Payments, that I do a lot of stuff. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff with him. I don't think he has a website. I think he just networks, but he works with like a lot of really high level dudes. We've got a group that we work with called Fuse Offers.
Fuse Offers.
Yeah.
And would you consider these guys like ClickBank, Digistore, BuyGoods? Are they big in the US? I know ClickBank is, right?
No, and that's where they're boutique, right? They're smaller. They don't. One of the headaches at a Digistore is for every like one mega vendor, you have 20 vendors that are not very good, don't know what they're doing, cause a lot of headaches and pain. Yeah. And so when you're a smaller outfit, you may not have the total volume that like a Digistore has, but you have way less headaches and you're only working with the people that you want to work with.
Yeah.
The service can be just as good. And so those are some of like the people that we work with. And
Got it.
They, a lot of times, like only work with people on referral basis, right? So you need to talk to somebody that can vouch for you and say, yeah, this person is credible, and you'll work with them. Right?
Got it. But so from what I understand, you have the Eagle Labs, right? So you actually help people with their offers when it comes to manufacturing, and you have the sister company that's called
Full Stack Fulfillment.
Yeah,
and those are where I spend most of my time.
Yeah,
doing that. I do like a little bit of. I have a licensed digital offer, so I licensed Joe Vitale, law of attraction expert from the movie The Secret. I licensed his product like a while ago and translated it in Spanish. So I have a small team of guys that like are selling that. It's not anything big, but one of the things I really believe is like, if I'm going to sit in a room with digital marketers,
you have to speak the language.
I have to speak the language and know about it, right? And so,
of course, yeah.
I don't spend much time on it, like a week, but I have enough knowledge that like they're coming to me with problems, whatever I'm able to answer, see what's working on split test. One of the things that we're trying to do right now with our fulfillment is we are opening up Latin America. So it's really, really hard to ship across borders. And because Brazil is just one country, it's way easier to sell product in Brazil because it stays within the country. Whereas if you're selling in Latin America, you have to do Mexico, Guatemala, Bolivia, Colombia.
Yeah, it's harder.
And when you cross a border, it's way, way harder. And so we're right now in the process of opening up Latin America, I believe.
But all Latin America or just Brazil?
It's going to go phase by phase, right? Step by step. We've done some. We're sort of in the process right now of opening up Mexico because the huge Spanish-speaking population in the U.S. Again, as far as countries go, it goes Mexico, and then U.S. is the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. Plus, it has high AOVs.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And so you can drive your CPM down. Instead of just selling a product in Mexico, you can sell your product in Mexico, Spain, and the U.S. Your CPMs drop and your AOV increases, making it way more profitable to go through there. Once we get Mexico open, right now we've got the logistics figured out. We're just working on the government licensing to import.
Yeah.
After that, we're figuring out the licensing in Colombia.
Colombia, the second
and we're
biggest,
moving through the economies from the best to the last so that we can do internal fulfillment and not cross borders.
Yeah. What do you think about since we're talking about that, I want to talk about a little bit more about Ego Labs and all the other stuff, but just a question. What do you think is the size of the whole Latin America, like Mexico, in other country that are below it, except Brazil? Because I wanted to compare all these Latin America countries to Brazil to know how big is the market. From my understanding right now, I don't know if that's true. You can correct me if you know it, right? But I think that the Brazilian market is almost the same size as all other countries in Latin America combined.
Yeah.
That's what I think, more or less.
That's 100% accurate, right? It's 100% accurate. Where Latin America, the guys who are getting into Latin America, usually the reason they're choosing it is because there is less competition. There's still competition, but there's less competition. The market is less sophisticated. So people have a higher distrust of buying something online still. But that's changing gradually. You go to countries like a Colombia, that's a tech powerhouse.
Yeah.
They're getting, like, everybody there just like does it. But one of the thought processes, I think, by a lot of people is gobbling up real estate. And so if you go into a country where there's less competition and you can grow quickly, it's easier to expand. And then as the market grows, your profit share, like if you have 20% of the share, as the market grows, that 20% continues to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I know that there's actually like multiple Brazilian media buying gurus that, rather than trying to be a media buying guru in Brazil, are doing it in Latin America. They're teaching people in Latin America how to make money. Yeah. Oftentimes they're guys who don't have as much experience. Yeah. So the guru level that it takes to be a guru in Brazil is higher.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
But it's exciting. And so I think that for other people, like, they just want to be pioneers. They just like the idea of untold problems and seeing what it is and exploring and figuring that out.
They like it, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And like, that's a lot of what we're doing is we want to come in and get to know as many people as we can at the beginning of the growth. And then we will be the first people that people refer to as the market grows and gets bigger and more sophisticated.
Yeah.
So sort of going back to that idea of monetizing the back end, right?
Yeah,
As long as right now we're doing some, it's good, but as the market sophisticates, it'll be better and we'll be positioned.
But Alex, you told me that you guys do the manufacturing and you have the full stack fulfillment where you do also the shipping. So, but you also said that you can connect with people that do all the back end, right? Or you also do that?
Yeah. So we have a bunch of, we have a network of like family friends, we'll call them, right?
Yeah.
Whereas not necessarily that all these businesses that we own them, but they just do a lot of work with us. And so we know how each other operate. They're very trusted. And so like that company I told you about, List Monsters, most of my Brazilian clients that come through, one of the first things I tell them is, are you interested in this extra service with List Monsters? Let me introduce you. We do a lot of stuff, like right now, we do a lot of stuff in Brazil with buy goods. And so, hey, we'll intro guys over there to buy goods because we're not doing that, right? We have all these different family friends that we can refer you to and that are trusted. And that's one of the hardest things when you're coming from another market and entering a new market, is you don't know who to trust.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And you could end up partnering with guys that aren't super great. You see it all the time that guys like consultants, there are some good consultants and some bad consultants. And so
mostly there are bad ones.
That's usually if you can't do it, you become a consultant.
Yeah.
That's the reason, like, if you can't become a pro athlete, you become a coach. You become a coach, right? And so I was too short, so I became a coach. And so that's what you never know. And so what we do is we work with partners and we see their results, and then we can refer you to people that get results rather than referring you to people that don't.
But for the Brazilian audience that is seeing us right now, I don't know when this podcast will be out, probably soon, but right now there is like this trend in Brazil that a lot of people are making a huge amount of money in the US. So some guys are stopping their Brazilian operations. They are going to the US to run traffic only in the US. Some of them are already your clients, as I told you. And for these new guys that they want to go to the US to run offers there, what's the very first thing that they should do? Do they need to create a company? What should they do?
So you don't have to have a US-based LLC. Where it starts to make sense is if you scale.
Yeah.
Right? And so I would say of the number of guys.
What do you mean by scale? What kind of numbers are we talking about per month?
I think once you get to the point that I have to extrapolate this, but usually, so once guys get to the point where they're selling 10 to 20,000 bottles, so that's not orders, that's 10 to 20,000 bottles. You think each bottle is like
maybe three bottles, one order.
Yeah, so probably $39 to $49 a bottle.
Yeah.
But once you get to that point,
how much revenue would that be for the vendor?
Let's check. Well, I guess if we did times 10,000, that would be $390,000.
So 300K around that.
Because one of the things that happens is when you're trying to bring money across the border, it becomes more difficult.
Yeah.
And you lose money and conversion and doing all this stuff. And so like one thing that you can do is open an LLC in the US and you don't have to be there.
You leave the money there then.
Yeah, you take the money gets deposited there. You pay out to all of your providers with that money before it crossed the border.
Of course, yeah.
And so you lower that money and come in. Right now I have a lot of guys who try to pay me with like credit card. And when you do that, there's the fees that get added on to it. You need to be able to like wire transfer the money. And so some guys in Brazil will do that. But eventually it gets to a point they can get very complicated with limits, like how much you can do in a day.
Yeah, that's something very complicated. Back in the day, when I had my international affiliates, man, that was a pain in the ass. Yeah. I remember that I had to talk to that friend of mine that I told you that is a genius from KiwiFi. And then he taught me, okay, the best country that you should create a company on to send money to the US is in the UK, because you will pay less taxes. Then you'll get your money here and you send to the UK account. And from that UK account, then you say that money is made for this. And then you go to, it was some sort of a scheme, it's some crazy thing.
Yeah.
It was really hard for that. Yeah.
But before you even start thinking about doing a business, well, I think the most important thing is it's crucial to start making money now, because your attention goes where your money is.
Yeah.
Don't think about, if you're going to make a change and go to the US, don't think about creating a system that is as sophisticated as your Brazilian operation. You usually need to know that you have enough bandwidth. You need to have like you yourself or one employee that can just dedicate themselves to driving the project forward.
Yeah.
And then go for the minimal viable project, right? Your MVP. So for a lot of people, that might be, before I even start trying to sell a product, I'm going to be an affiliate of a US offer. So I'm just going to start seeing if I can drive Facebook clicks and see what the CPM is, right? And so you got to start testing that and seeing, okay, start as affiliate, right? And that's the reason we introduce a lot of people to affiliate guys who are taking on affiliates that have good VSLs. And so people can ask us and say, hey, who's a good offer for me to run? I want to run this. I do this in Brazil. Let me match you up with a company that might fit that. So then you start testing that. Then once you've got, okay, I like this. I'm not making money because it's not my offer, but it's the pricing looks like it'll be right once I open my offer. So then you can start, okay, now I can do a VSL. Let me research what other VSLs are. And you start going, but just got to make money now. If you have a digital product, translate it, rather than starting to say, I have a digital product in Brazil and I want to sell supplements in the US, say, I'm going to translate my digital product to English and just start testing and making money that way. Now you're making money in the US and it justifies the time to then grow an actual supplement
makes sense.
product.
What people are doing here right now with info products is that they're mostly using Hotmart. You know Hotmart?
I know Hotmart.
They are using them to sell in the US. And that's actually a little bit of pain in the ass because Hotmart is like stopping all the sales there. Yeah, but the good thing about Hotmart is that they do this thing about getting the money here, right? But if someone wants to be an affiliate in the US, do you think that they should start with info products or like physical products? What's your opinion?
I would start where your goal is. So if you long-term want to do digital products in English, start with that. I don't mean to hate on you, Hotmart, but I definitely...
No, do it. Let's hit on them.
If you're going to sell... That's like, for example, if I want Brazilian food, I come to Brazil. I don't go to Argentina and then ask for pão de queijo, right?
Yeah.
Because they may have it, but it's not going to be as good.
Yeah.
The same thing, like if you're looking for an offer to affiliate, don't go for a US offer from Hotmart, right? Those aren't the best offers. A lot of those offers, one of the problems is the quality is not as good, right? Is the US, you have higher quality digital products because the market demands a higher quality digital product.
Yeah, of course.
And so you can sell through a Buy Goods, ClickBank, Digistore, Fuse Offers, through one of these type things.
Got it. But okay, so but if I sign up for one of these affiliate networks or whatever, how will I get paid? Do I need to have an US account or how does it work to get paid?
No, you can get wire transfers sent to your bank account here
in Brazil.
Yeah, you can get a wire transfer. It'll be sent in dollars, so you have to have a bank account that can accept dollars. There's a fee that comes with that. I believe it's like $45, which is a lot of the platforms charge. And so if you're just doing like hardly any sales at all, it will eat up your money quick. But if you're doing big volume, like it's worth it. I think you'll see better conversions. Honestly, I think the payment solutions and the platforms are a little bit better. There, and so you.
But once you scale, you got some problems, right? Because I think that some of my friends, they use that service. I think it's called Payoneer or something like that. Do you know why they do this? Or because why don't they just receive the transfer, the wire transfer from the ClickBanks or whatever?
Yeah. So the Pioneer, it goes back to fees. So they charge way less. So a lot of guys ask me about Payoneers, about using Payoneer with us for payments.
Yeah.
Currently, we don't support it, but I'm looking for somebody at Payoneer. I need an introduction because the problem with Payoneer is there can be limits to how much you can send in a day. And so if
that happens. So some of my clients, they got money stuck there and then they had to shut down their operations at least for some weeks because they had no money to actually pay the ads.
And so you need to get to a point where you have that set up. But a lot of guys will use Payoneer. Some people use like Wise transfer.
Wise, makes sense.
You can do that. But most guys just do a bank transfer to us. And that seems to be the easiest way.
Okay, got it. So what should someone do if they want to get started and after they saw, okay, I can actually run traffic in the US, I can actually make money, and they want to do physical products, they don't want to do info products, because people, the truth is some of them are already doing that. I think their biggest pain point is actually with physical products. How can they have their own offers there? Is that the time that they should actually open an LLC, or can they have their own offers there without the LLC?
Yeah, you can have your own offer there without the LLC. So we've got a lot of guys. The biggest guys all set up an LLC. The biggest guys all do it, but usually they just get going, right? Just get going, get momentum, and then figure it out as you go. Once you're ready to go, you got to decide what it is the product that you're going to want, right? And so like a team like ours, what we do is we show you, here are our 47 white label products. If you don't find what you're looking for, let us know. We can try to help figure that out.
Yeah.
Then we handle all of the shipping, so you don't have to worry about any logistics. I suggest always when guys get going is to do the minimal viable project, just start sales, and so plug in with somebody else's back end. So plug in with a phone team to do your customer service. Like those customer service guys can save you a lot of money, even though you feel like I'm paying $1 a minute. Right? If an average call takes 7 minutes, that's $7. But what that customer service agent is going to do is rather than giving that person a refund, they're going to talk them into just taking 20% back and keeping the product. So you essentially just saved yourself like $100. So pay $7 to save 100, right? That's great ROI.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And some guys see the money and get worried about that. And so they say, well, I'm just going to use the customer service that a platform provides. And the problem with those guys is their customer service teams are definitely quicker to just refund everything.
Of course, yeah.
Than to work to save the money. You plug in with our email guys. You can plug in with our phone guys. You can plug in with everybody that you need for your back-end structure so that you don't have to do it. Then start selling. As you start making money and you start getting more profitable, maybe you take back the customer service. You say, okay, now we're going to actually have somebody who speaks English that's from Brazil do our customer service.
Okay,
and you can
got it.
do that. But I would definitely just say, just get signed up. And with us, it's super easy. Usually what we'll do is we'll say, here's the product catalog. Tell me what you want. We need to know your estimated volumes so that we can figure out how many labels to start you with.
What's the minimum? If someone wants to start, like someone that's watching us right now, and then he wants, I want to do physical products, and what should I do?
Yeah, so if you want to start with like 100 labels, like I guess I can do that, but I'm gonna charge you
100, man.
I'm gonna charge you so much that it's probably not gonna be profitable. And so typically, I think most Brazilians, they ask for about 1,000 labels.
Yeah, that's around that. Yeah.
Little known secret is they ask me for 1,000 labels, but usually I order slightly more just in case.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing to do is to scale and then not be ready to go. Labels are what slows us down the most. It takes us 7 days to get your labels ready.
Yeah.
And once your labels are ready, we can sell as much as you want. You can scale as fast as you can. But that first run of labels, I need an idea. So then payment, usually we ask for a small deposit to cover the cost of those initial labels. And after that, you pay us every week. So we invoice you for what you sold the week before.
Yeah.
We know you're going to pay because you want to keep scaling.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
If you don't pay us, we stop.
How much is that small deposit? I don't know if you can tell us.
It depends on how much guys are asking for. It depends a little bit too on relationship. So like some guys, as they get going, I already know like they've already sold this product with us before, and so then it won't. Like I'm not worried about them selling 1,000 labels. I know they'll sell 1,000 labels.
Got it.
And so I don't need to ask you for deposit. Starting out might be anywhere from, 500, 750, 1,000, 2,000.
There's not that much.
It all just depends. Initially, when I came to Brazil, I wasn't charging deposit.
Yeah.
But then we had a couple of bad actors who tried to take advantage of us.
Started to meet the Brazilians.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they tried to take advantage of us, and so we said, "Sorry, guys, now we have to do this." And
Yeah, that's bad, but I understand.
What typically we try to do is I'll try to work with you the best we can, because what I know is if I charge you too much on a deposit, that's less money for you to invest in Facebook ads, which means you sell less product, which means I make less money.
Of course.
And so I'm always trying to do what's best for you to scale that is possible. I'm not saying, hey, I'm going to take this deposit and then just go spend it on pizza, right?
Yeah.
Like, usually what we do with your deposit is we apply it to your first invoice.
Yeah.
And so it actually drives down the cost of that, like payment number one.
Yeah, of course. And you say that the first thing is that you need to find out the formula. Then after you choose one, then you start to making the label. But the design of the label is you guys, you do it?
It can be either or. If you have a design team that's quick, then you might want to just handle it. Because what's really nice about that is you can make changes and adjustments on your own. If you need a design team, we offer that service free of charge. What we do is we say, hey, send us 3 labels that you like and tell us why you like them. And then we'll go ahead and spin something up for you, and we send it back for your approval.
Okay.
Once it's approved, we go ahead and we order labels, and 7 days they get here. During that period, usually you'll take like a digital copy of the label and you'll bring it to your payment processing platform. They'll want to see that, and they'll want to see a certificate of analysis, which just proves that what we say is in the product is in the product.
Yeah.
Everything's super tested. We have the highest level of like USDA certifications. So we actually regularly get audited. We have regularly people from the government come in and they'll check our paperwork and make sure we have everything good. And so while you're waiting for your labels, you can get your offer approved on the platform.
Do you do that too? Do you talk to them? To the guys that you said that you have a partnership with Buy Goods, right?
Yeah. So if they need introductions, we introduce them.
Yeah.
Like I said, what we'll do is we'll talk about what your needs are. What is it that you're needing? If you're trying to do payment processing in a certain country, like we might steer you to this processor. If you're trying to, if you need certain...
But you also deliver in other countries? Seriously, man.
Yeah. So
not in Brazil, right?
So from the US, we ship internationally via DHL. And DHL can go to pretty much any country, right? They can go to anywhere. The problem is...
I don't think you can crack Brazil, man.
The problem
Brazil is crazy shit here.
It can go to Brazil. The problem is does it get to the end user? It will get to the border. Yeah. And does it get to... You don't know. And so...
I don't think so.
We have warehousing set up in two parts of the U.S. to drive down the cost of postage. So we have a West Coast and we have an East Coast. We have in the Netherlands. So you can ship from the European Union to other countries. Typically, to make it financially smart, you need to be doing a little bit of volume before we do that. But yeah, so we ship you from there. That cuts down on time. That cuts down on cost.
You don't have factories in Europe, right?
No, so
all the factories that need.
Yeah, what we do is we import our product from the U.S. We're a very large operation, so we have machines that can do 350 capsules a minute, and so you can think about sometimes it's better to import it because of the amount of volume you have drives your cost down. It might have an additional cost that we say, hey, because we're going to ship from the European Union, we need to charge you an extra $1 or $2, but still it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I said, soon we'll have Mexico up and ready, and then we'll be moving to the other major Spanish-speaking countries as well, so that we can deliver internally.
Yeah. Okay. So what people should do, from what I understand, is that they should talk to you, and then they should give you their niche that they want to operate, and they will choose from a list of formulas that you have, or they can do their own if they wanted to. Yeah. And then after that, you will get the labels ready, and they will have to pay you a small deposit, and then that's around, I don't know, depends on the client. It probably depends on the formula they choose too, right? Because the more expensive ones, they probably be a higher deposit, right? And then you will help them with everything when it comes to getting approved by the platforms and other stuff too, right?
So when it comes to getting approved by the platform, what I can do is I can provide coaching. They have to do the work.
Yeah.
But I can explain to them. Oftentimes it's just like something wrong is with their label. They've claimed something that is a claim. You can't use the word pain anywhere on a label in the U.S. unless it's like a certified medicine. And so we'll coach you up on that and sort of help you out.
Yeah.
But
is it common for people to get disapproved by the platform?
Yeah. It's like the first couple of times. That's one of the biggest headaches that we see Brazilians going through is they're not used to the compliance processes, and so they need
definitely
coaching.
Not.
So, and that's one of the things is if you're doing a VSL, it's always great to find your payment processor first. And so people sometimes will work with me and they're not ready yet to launch. They're still 3 months away, but they would like an introduction to the payment processor so they can figure out what is compliant with that platform. Yeah. And each platform is different. Some of the platforms have processing for black hat. Some of the platforms only for white hat stuff. And so we can set you up with your needs. You just need to be honest with us.
Yeah.
We can get you processing for most anything. You just got to tell us.
So you can tell them which processing is better depending on their specific situation.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Okay. We're trying to do like a consultative thing where it's not just like here's a list. It's let me with my experience look at what you're doing and set you up the best way we can for success.
Awesome.
And we'll put you with the partner that you need to be with to scale.
Awesome. Got it. That's really cool. I have one last question for you. Actually, I have two last questions.
Okay, let's do it.
So you told us that you do this kind of consulting thing to get people onboarded in the US. And I just wanted something clear to our audience. You said that the very first thing that someone should do is to build a MVP funnel, right? And then you told them, just get your VSL, start running. What exactly is this MVP? Should they already start with the call center to do the customer success stuff? What do you think is this MVP that people should pay attention to?
So the things I'm talking about right now are based off of my most successful clients from Brazil.
Yeah.
Sort of looking at what they are doing and what they all have in common. And so what most of them do is they launch a product, an offer that only has one product. It will have the initial sales page, and then you can purchase more of the same product for their upsell.
Yeah.
And that's all they have. They haven't introduced any new products yet. They just do that. So it's usually a one upsell, one downsell. That's it. We get them plugged in immediately with the phone team. Not all fulfillment houses do this and require it, but we require it for our products.
Yeah.
You have to have a compliant label. Because of our manufacturing, we're connected with these people, right? Yeah. And so we have to do a really, really good job. And so labels are required to have a way that the US government can contact you in case the product is bad and it needs to be recalled. So you need to have a phone number on the label. You can have an email and an address of your physical offices in the US, or a phone number and an email. And so most people, what they do is they use our customer service team so that they have a phone number, right? And so we get that set up immediately at the beginning. And if you decide, hey, you don't want to work with the phone team that I usually represent, we can also connect you to other people. There's different phone teams that have different strengths. And so we try to connect you with whoever's best for you. Once again, we can make more money if we have them here, but we just know we'll sell more bottles if it's the right fit for you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so we'll connect them with that. And typically that's all they need to get going, right? Is that first product, labels, and the phone team for the customer service, and they're good to go. They'll go ahead and launch. Then once they start launching, they typically start tweaking the funnel and making it the offer more successful. Once they get it to a point that they like, they then introduce the other products. So let me offer a complementary product. So they create 2 or 3 new products to add into their funnel. About this time period, once that offer is optimized, it's getting to the point where they're getting enough buyers that now it makes sense for them to start working with an email partner.
Yeah.
And so we can connect them with any number of email partners. There's quite a few. And we'll connect you with your email team. So then they can start doing your emails and making you even more money so you can reinvest in even more scale.
Yeah.
After that point, once it sort of gets where they like it, this is where people differ. Some people decide they want to use affiliates. And so they'll start getting Brazilian affiliates to promote their offer.
Yeah.
Others decide they want to maintain internal traffic and be the only ones. So they'll start running that however they want. And that's when it's time to start looking for the problems that might occur. So one problem, for example, that guys have is payment processing. If you're on only one payment processor, if you get shut down for some reason, sales stop. Yeah. But if you have a second processor, like maybe you have your favorite processor, you do 80% of traffic there and 20% here. If this one gets shut down, you can pivot all your sales here, and you're still okay. And so initially we just connect you with one payment processor, let's get going. But then on the back end, once you're starting to have sales, I might say, hey, it's time to start thinking about onboarding someplace else. So you have that backup just in case, right? We're not saying run all your traffic there. We're just saying be ready in case something were to happen. Be smart.
Yeah.
We'll look for all your holes. That's when we start saying like the email, or you email, what are we doing for phone? What are you doing here? And then it's time to launch your next offer, because one of the things that we notice is that Brazilians like to copy each other. And so sometimes
they do.
offers get burnt out quickly. And so you need to have your next offer, whether it be in the same niche. Some guys will say, all I do is promote male enhancement, right? That's all I do. And they'll just create a new product slightly different VSL and be ready to start testing that one.
Yeah.
Others are saying, I want to try a new vertical. What we do notice in the US is a lot of companies stick with just one. We're really good at blood sugar, or we're really good at this. And they just are really good at it. It's not until you have a team that's very large that you start expanding to a different
to other niches. Exactly. Yeah. Makes sense. Man, that's really interesting. And now the very final question. What should someone do, someone that's watching us here and they got like interested about what we were saying and they want to create their operations in the US? What's the first thing that they should do? How can they contact you guys?
Okay, so if you're wanting to go to the US, it doesn't matter how you want to go to the US. If you want to go as an affiliate, if you want to go as a digital product salesperson, or if you want to start selling actual physical products, you should contact me. I'll pass you a link that we can set up. There'll be a link that it sort of gives you to a little funnel that'll give you first like an ebook that sort of summarizes everything I just said here. Okay. So you can look at it. Maybe you're part of a team and you want to show your partner, right? You can do that. Then there's also on that page is a button to contact me on WhatsApp. And so you can go ahead and contact me on WhatsApp. I'll even have a list of questions that I want you to answer me with your first message. So tell me like your name, how you heard about me, what your company size is right now, what you're doing right now, what your goal is to go to. And from there, we can schedule a call if you speak English or Spanish. If you don't speak English or Spanish, I understand a lot of Portuguese. Yeah. I'm working on it, but we can also just text on WhatsApp, whatever is comfortable for you, and we can send you to wherever you need to be to make money because that's what we really want to do. We know that even though our biggest goal is to get you selling supplements, physical products, like whatever you're doing, we can support you with that back end. We know eventually if I helped you in the front end get an offer to an affiliate or if it be a digital thing, eventually when you're ready for physical, you'll come back to us.
Yeah, of course.
Come talk to us. So we just want to help everybody as much as we can.
Awesome. Great. So people, because that's what I would say in Portuguese. Pessoal, I'm going to say in Portuguese. Pessoal.
I learned that word yesterday. I have 100 vocabulary words that I'm studying.
It's a good word, yeah. Pessoal. It's like, hey everybody or something like that. So, pessoal, cara, quer entrar nos Estados Unidos, queres descobrir como fazer a operação, vai ter aqui nos comentários, tá? Pra tu baixar ali o e-book aqui do Alex, pra tu poder seguir esse processo, ele pode te ajudar, seja tu, sei lá, afiliado, ou pra tu ser um produtor, ou pro que tu quiser, tá? Ele quer fazer essa ponte pra ajudar os brasileiros a irem pros Estados Unidos, porque ele acredita que no futuro vocês vão acabar virando clientes deles, tá? Por causa dessa ajuda inicial que ele deu pra vocês. Então vai ter um e-book aqui nos comentários, tu pode baixar o e-book. Vai aparecer também um site aqui. You don't have the website yet, right?
Don't have the website yet, but it will be elgringoalex.com/Viterb. Viterb.
Okay. Yeah, or something like that. Anyway, vai aparecer aqui na tela aqui. It will appear on the screen. And also in the comments on the YouTube, so you can check that out there too. And yeah, então pessoal, foi isso daí. Do you want to send the guys at home a message or something?
Last thing I would just say is keep hustling, right? Brazil is super exciting right now. I came into digital marketing after the beginnings, right? Yeah. And there's so much stuff happening right here that right now is like the beginning. So there's just like so much energy. Just super enjoy it. Because later, there's sharks coming here too, right? Yeah. There are big companies that are ready to start competing with y'all.
Big guys
get ready. Yeah. Do it right.
Yeah. But we at Viterb are going to beat them. You can send all of them. Send Alex, Vimeo, Wistia.
Listen.
We beat the living shit out of them.
I'll vouch for Viterb. I tell people in the US about Viterb. And a lot of the biggest guys have made the switch to Viterb in the US. And so it's a big deal that it works.
Thanks, good. Man. Thanks. Yeah, man. So, guys, this is it. If you want to go to the US, if you want to run traffic there, if you are aware of this trend right now in Brazil that people are going to the US, you can talk to Alex. He even gave you his personal WhatsApp. Man, to me, this is crazy.
Blow it up.
You're gonna get a lot of.
I want to get an assistant for it. So once we get to that point, I'm ready for the assistant.
Yeah. So yeah, and then it will be in the description here, the ebook you can download there. And yeah, that's it, man. I hope you enjoy the podcast. E pessoal, esse aqui foi mais um episódio, tá? Do Segredos da Escala. One more thing. Do you have an Instagram that people can follow you? Are you active on social media?
El Gringo Alex G. Gringo Alex G.
G, like gangster.
G, like Gunoe, my last name. But yeah. It's because there's a guy who's El Gringo Alex.
Yeah.
He's never posted ever. He follows 10 people and he refuses to sell it to me.
Yeah.
I keep messaging him. He wouldn't message me back, so I messaged his daughter. I found out who his daughter was. Sent her messages and she says he's not interested and they won't sell me El Gringo Alex. So it's El Gringo Alex G.
Ok, pessoal, é o Gringo Alex G, tá? Vai aparecer aí na tela aí. Sigam lá o Alex no Instagram, baixa o e-book aqui embaixo aqui dele, tá? Pra vocês entenderem como começar lá nos Estados Unidos. Mas na maneira de começar, tá? O Alex aqui, eu acho que ele é muito bom, tá, pessoal? Vários clientes meus do VTurb, os maiores, começaram pelo Alex e estão lá ainda até hoje. Então, recomendo que tu entre lá. E, cara, é isso aí, tá? Esse aqui foi mais um episódio do Podcast da Escala. Segue o Alex no Instagram, é o Gringo Alex G, vai aparecer aqui na tela. Baixa lá o e-book, tá? Se inscreve aqui no canal. Se tu gostou disso aqui, compartilha pra alguém. E esse aqui foi mais um episódio de Segredos da Escala. Grande abraço e até mais. Cara, muito obrigado aí por ter assistido aqui mais um episódio de Segredos da Escala. Se tu gostou do episódio, não se esquece, tá? De curtir aqui esse episódio, de se inscrever no canal do VTurb pra tu receber aí mais episódios aí na tua caixa de entrada. Isso é muito importante pra gente e se tu fizer isso, eu te garanto, tá? Que eu vou trazer os melhores convidados aqui pra passar conteúdo pra ti, beleza? E se tu tá procurando aí mais episódios aí pra assistir, cara, eu vou deixar 2 episódios aqui, tá? Em algum lugar aqui da tela aqui, dos Segredos da Escala pra tu ver. Então clica ali, vê eles, tá? Assiste também, vale a pena. Grande abraço e até mais.